Hey guys, it's the Gardening Moose here from Garden Gateway, and today I want to take a minute and talk to you about dividing bearded iris. I've got several clumps of bearded iris throughout this bed. We're going to dig up this nice clump here of batik, which is a beautiful purple with a white speckling on it. It's an absolutely gorgeous iris. My irises now are 3 years old, and they have developed big size clumps, and it's time to get them divided. And reasons for dividing irises is that they can actually crowd themselves out and get to the point where they really don't have space to grow, and it kind of stops their blooming. And so it's best to divide them every 3 to 5 years. Mine have gotten absolutely huge in 3 years, and so now's the time to do it. It's about the third week of August right now. I would have liked to have gotten this done maybe as early as 2 weeks ago, but I've still got plenty of time here in Cache Valley, Utah, for these to get reestablished and regrowing. And so I'm going to show you how to dig this up, and then we're going to take it over to my workstation, and I'm going to show you how to divide them and how to replant them. And so the first thing is, I'm going to be using a digging fork for this process rather than a spade or a shovel. And the reason for that is the digging fork will do less damage to the roots of the iris as I'm bringing them up out of the ground. And so essentially all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this digging fork around the outside of the plant. Some of it I've already done and cut so that you guys didn't have to watch me work my way through getting this up out of the ground. But you just take your digging fork down here around the base of the iris, apply it down into the ground, work your way out around it, and then you're going to pull up the big clump of iris. Now we're just going to take half of mine for the moment, and then we'll come back and do the other half as well. So I'm going to take this over to where we're going to be dividing it, and we'll catch you back in a few minutes, and I'll show you dividing it and cutting it back and replanting it. Hey guys, the Gardening Moose back here dividing my irises. As you can see, I'm not using a very fancy workstation. This is just the back of my pickup truck. But it does work great for this purpose. I don't have to bend over to do it. I can move it anywhere around the yard that I need to. I am going to take a minute and show you just one thing that I found that works really well. So if you look right here in the crack between my tailgate and the bed of my truck, I'm using a pool noodle to fill in that crack. It's just a handy trick that you can use to kind of keep soil from going down in there. So anyways, I've got my iris clump that I brought over from the ground there, and I'm just going to take this and just kind of start massaging it a little bit. And just kind of loosen it up and break it up. A lot of times these irises will have natural divisions that you can get to just kind of pop out there and break up. Now I am going to see there's a lot of dead foliage in here. What I'm specifically looking for, though, if you take a look at this, so this is the stem or the stalk of the flowers from this year. Something a lot of people don't realize is that this tuber of the iris that flowered last year is not going to bloom for you again next year. And so honestly, there's no point in keeping that part of the iris, so I'm just going to toss it here in the bed. You're looking for tubers that don't have flower stalks from last year, that are nice and firm. You can see this one as well. There's your flower stalk. Toss it. We're looking for something that doesn't have one. There we go. There's a good example. You can see the roots. The reason we wait till summer is these new tubers lay down new roots, and we need to have that before we dig them up and divide it. So I'm just going to clean this guy up a little bit here, pull some of the old foliage off of it, and then I'm going to take my pruners, cutting it back to about 6 inches tall, just like that. If I can, you know, I like to have some clumps where I'm going to have 2 or 3 sets of leaves on them. And same thing, always cut them at an angle like that. That one didn't go very well. Just like that, we're going to clean them up and get these ready to replant. This is really easy. Irises are very forgiving. It shouldn't scare you at all to go through this process and do it. So I'm going to go through and divide a bunch of these up, we're going to come back in just a minute and show you how to replant them. So I'll see you back in just a few. Hey guys, the Gardening Moose back here, and now that I've got my irises dug up and divided and cut back, it's time to replant them. And so the first thing I've done, I've come back here and filled in the hole where I dug out the iris. I talked to you guys in all of my videos. I use a planting mix that is a mixture of compost, peat moss, it's got a little bit of bark in there, it's got the mineral supplement azomite, which is absolutely fantastic, and it's got a little bit of pumice in there, so it's very well drained, yet the peat moss will do a good job of holding moisture. It's an excellent way to get your plants started off to a great start, especially perennial stuff that you're going to have in the ground for a long time. And so I've just come back through, I've filled my hole back in with that. Really, this soil is so nice to work with. I'm probably not even going to need my little hand shovel there. But I've got my iris division. It's ready to go back in the ground. I'm just going to dig a nice little shallow, almost trench more than hole. And put that right back in and firm up around the roots of it. But I want to leave that tuber exposed on top and let that be exposed to the hot baking sun. It needs that in order to regrow and bloom and do well. Don't plant your irises too deep. A lot of people make that mistake. And so really, guys, that's all there is to digging and dividing bearded iris. It's a simple process. It does need to be done every 3 to 5 years. I do mine every 3 so that they continue to bloom well and do awesome. And so now I need to go find a home for the other couple hundred divisions that I'm going to have when I'm done dividing all of these. So anyways, guys, have a great day and thanks for watching.